Good evening. A Staffordshire farmer has been told his entire herd of 150 dairy cattle will have to be slaughtered because they may have bovine tuberculosis. Many of those due to be culled are in calf. It's a devastating blow for the farmer, and all the more surprising because the farm has never had a problem with TB before. Our environment correspondent Gregory-Kumar has this exclusive report.
This is the remains of the Lower Limbrook farm dairy herd. 97 cows have already been sent for slaughter. Soon these animals will join them.
It was just lorry load after lorry load going. No.
I mean, that's how it's going to have to be.
This farm near Burton-on-Trent had never had a problem with bovine TB. They'd sailed through 6 years of testing until this time.
I felt sick because I knew when your cows are infected, there's only a one-way ticket and they're going to be slaughtered with the mothers and the calves. And I knew then what the outcome was going to be. I think that was the hardest part of it.
A little bit later, the vet phoned to say it was very, very bad and could I come home, because obviously Lewis had taken it very badly. So I came home and I just couldn't believe it. It just devastated.
The Bothwells want to rebuild, and they will be left with some very young cattle living on another part of the farm, away from the main herd. Now, these young stock were kept separately from the rest of the animals on the farm, and the good news is they've tested negative and they're going to be allowed to stay. So these heifers could form the nucleus of a new herd on the farm. But of course, all that depends on these young animals passing the next TB test in 4 weeks' time.
And David joins me now. So what caused this outbreak as far as the Bothwells are concerned?
Well, they say they've always tested their cattle and the tests have always come back negative for 6 years. So they say it can't be the cattle, it must be something else. And that means wildlife, and that means badgers, basically. Now, there's a big new development not far from their farm, and their argument is that's disrupted the life of the badgers, not deliberately, but as a side effect, and that's driven the badgers and the TB as well onto their farm. However, it is possible it could be cattle-to-cattle transmission. And earlier today, I spoke to a researcher at the University of Warwick to ask her whether it was badgers or cattle that were to blame.
Badgers may, if they're not well, or they're very sickly animals, they may look for easier sources of food, and that could be on a farm.
Is it possible the disease could have spread not from badgers, but from the cattle themselves?
Yes, TB in both humans and in animals is a very difficult disease to diagnose, surprisingly, and especially in young animals it's difficult. So there's a possibility that even if the test is done on all the animals concerned, it's about 80% effective. So it's possible that animals in very early stages of the disease will not test positive, and this is a well-known problem.
We're just never going to know exactly what went on this farm, and it's just left for the Bothwells to pick up the pieces.
Of course, we know a badger cull is coming. Would that have helped the Bothwells?
No, they're not in an area that's ever going to have a cull at the moment. Well, actually there is a cull, but it's a cull of their own cattle. That's the only option they have. They've got to keep testing, not every year, but every 2 months now, and any animals that test positive will be culled, and that's the only way they can get on top of the disease now.
OK, David, thank you.